Welcome back to Simonson Sports Talk. Here to continue our conversation on the bombshell trade out of the NFL this weekend, the Jamal Adams trade. Now we're going to get the Jets' perspective on this. You've already heard me talk about how it affects Russell Wilson and the Seattle Seahawks. But I think this is the beginning of the end for Adam Gase. I think the management, to their credit, handled this situation pretty well to handle the diva personality of Jamal Adams and to get him out and get a very good return. 2 first-round picks, and that's a great return for a player of that quality. Would you agree with me on that?
Yeah, there's no question. It's one of the best returns for any trade in the last 5 years. We've seen a lot of superstars get traded and not a lot comes back for them. But for this trade, you can clearly see that the Jets got a quality return and Seattle got their safety. But it does honestly beg the question: what do the Jets do? There's 2 sides to this divorce, and obviously Seattle is looking pretty happy right now with their standout safety, and they're all gung-ho. You think they're about to go make the Super Bowl next year, and then you look at the Jets, and there's not really much going on right now. I mean, it just seems like the team is constantly in transition, and there's no real consistency. Like, there have been multiple attempts, to the team's credit. They've drafted Sam Darnold, went out and got Le'Veon Bell, which was definitely a move to try to establish yourself in that crowded AFC East field. But the problem is a lot of teams around them are getting better, and it just doesn't seem to be clicking. And at some point, you just have to wonder who's going to get pinned with the blame and who's going to get sent out the door.
Yeah, I think this is Adam Gase's make-or-break year. You look at the division, Brady's gone. Cam Newton's fine, but I don't see that New England team being a real threat. Buffalo's clearly that number 1. And without training camp, I'm not sure Tua and the Dolphins are going to be quite on the level that we think they would have if they had camp. What interests me, though, is I think Adam Gase is losing that locker room. I'm not sure how many players are going to go out and go play for Adam Gase. Like we saw last year with the Dolphins. The Dolphins sucked. They were not good that first half of the year. But Brian Flores was the guy. Everyone gravitated towards him, and everyone wanted to play for him. I don't think Adam Gase is that guy. If they're not over 500 this year, I think he's gone. I think they give him the can. And then Sam Darnold, seat's getting hot on him too. He's got to perform too. You can't just blame the coach.
Yeah, it's gonna be a hard situation to judge them for a make and break, because it does seem like the deck is pretty stacked against them, with so much of the AFC just looking absolutely loaded. You've got Buffalo in the division that looks really solid. I think that New England has established themselves as contending with Miami for that 2 spot. The Jets don't look like they're going to get out of last place, and last place is pretty destined to have less than 5 wins, and that doesn't look good for anybody on that team. And it does beg the question of whether Adam Gase does have this locker room when you hear guys like Jamal Adams go out to the media and kind of rat him out, and you just wonder how much tension is there, and how free are these players to speak their minds, where you have guys like Adams who feel like they have to go out to the New York media and speak what they think of Adam Gase just to get some attention onto the situation, because it doesn't look good in New York, and who would want to play for a coach that everybody speaks badly about, even though you're in New York, which should be an environment that a lot of athletes want to play in.
Yeah, I think especially those New York fans, the New York media surrounding the team, they're not going to tolerate another 4-win season. You got to at least show you're making strides. You can't just be stuck in limbo.
And why should they? The Jets have basically been stuck in limbo for most of the last decade. It hasn't been very fun to watch Jets games, let's be honest.
All right, we got a caller coming in about now. So I think he's going to disagree with us. He's from Pennsylvania. Hey, what's going on, man? What you got for us?
Hey, guys. Big fan of your show. First-time caller here. I just want to get your thoughts. I have an opinion on this Jamal Adams trade. I think one of the clear winners of this trade is the Jets GM, Joe Douglas. I think he knocked it out of the park with this trade, landing 2 first-round picks and an additional 3rd-round pick, as long as going on with an active cornerback who's pretty good in this league. But the thing is, the Steelers got a 1st-round pick only for Minkah Fitzpatrick.
Right.
And Joe Douglas getting 2 first-round picks for this trade is absolutely phenomenal, in my opinion. And for the Seattle side, they get an all-pro player in Adams. And if they win the Super Bowl, who cares about those first-round picks, because they trade them back every year anyway. So I feel like this trade, it goes both ways, but I feel like the Jets GM knocked it out of the park with this one. I just want to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I agree partially with it. It's going to buy the GM a couple extra years because looking back, the Bell situation, that's a mess right now. That looks like an awful contract. Darnold, he might not be panning out, and I think the clock's ticking, but this might buy him 1 more year. The other thing I really liked what you said was about the Minkah Fitzpatrick situation. I think the one difference between Jamal Adams and Minkah Fitzpatrick, well, there's 2 actually. The one is the Jerry Jones factor. Jerry Jones, everyone knew that Jamal Adams wanted to be a Dallas Cowboy. And Jerry is definitely willing to break the bank for a star player like Jamal Adams. And I think Seattle knew that. I think Seattle knew that if they were going to get a player of the quality of Jamal Adams, they had to drop 2 first-round picks on him.
And you do have to credit Joe Douglas for being willing to go out with that large offer and try to get some of that out of Seattle. I mean, we don't know who suggested what, but maybe that was their price on Jamal Adams all along. Maybe that was a desperation play by Seattle to try to get him over the Cowboys. But I will say, GMs in this league have a long period of safety. It generally falls down to the coaches, and if they don't get it done, they're out pretty quickly. GMs after that, and then president and other members of the front office. And while I do think that the GM is very undervalued, and that they need a strong GM candidate in order to go forward, and he looked like he may have gotten a decent part of this deal, but we're going to have to see how he uses those draft picks, because draft picks are often like rolling the dice. You never really know who you're going to get, and it takes some strategic scouting on the Jets' part in order to know what needs they have, which, let's face it, there are a lot of needs on the Jets right now, and who exactly to target to go in for those jobs.
Yeah, I'd like to circle back to the Minkah Fitzpatrick thing real quick before I comment on what you just said.
That's fine.
The other thing about that Minkah Fitzpatrick trade is Minkah Fitzpatrick was relatively unproven. He was very early in his career. Jamal Adams, we know Jamal Adams is a first-team All-Pro caliber player. He's, in my opinion, the best safety in football. He might be able to make the case for Derwin James, but I think that had a little bit to do with it. And going back to what you were saying about the draft picks,
right.
I think you get some leeway, but at some point, you can't miss on that many draft picks.
Right.
Good grief. I mean, look at all these guys. What's he really got to show for it?
He's got Darnold, but if that turns out to be a bust this year, then I think a lot of fans are really going to start going back and saying, oh, well, this one didn't pan out, and neither did this one. This one got traded. This one got cut.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a stat that was shown on ESPN, I believe it was yesterday morning, that most of the Jets' first-round picks up until Sam Darnold have either been traded or cut from the team.
Yeah, I think their only hope really left is Quentin Williams, but even him, he's not a stats guy. The last thing I want to say about this is it all starts with the owner. And the owner is in some hot water right now.
Correct.
In politics. It's not a good look for the Jets. It's not a good look for Adam Gase. Not a good look for Sam Darnold. But congratulations to Pete Carroll and the Seattle Seahawks for getting that all-pro caliber player that they needed to get over the hump in Jamal Adams. Well, this is going to do it for today. I'm signing off. Zach Simonson.
And I'm Andrew Simonson signing off.
Have a good day.